Hi, everybody. This is the Post Movie Podcast. I'm Steve Head.
And I'm John Black.
And welcome to 2012.
Dun, 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 dun.
If
the Mayans are right, this could be the last broadcast.
I just wanted to say anything but. And on this episode, we're talking about Contagion. And
no, we're not talking about Contagion. We're talking about Contraband.
For example. And on this episode, we're talking about
that movie with a C in it.
Because, Contagion, man, it's a movie that we like. Oh, we're not talking about Contagion, but somehow, like Contagion, it's coming back.
Yes,
as if it's like Oscar worthy or something like that.
Can you hear that movie title though and not think of Gwyneth Paltrow's head being peeled back?
Oh, that was the best part of it.
I know. It was
absolutely
iconic.
The best. She became, for me, cooler in that one clip, in that one scene, than she was in momentarily for the Royal Tenenbaums. Although she's ultimately the coolest.
What was that movie she did with?
She did a horror flick or something?
No, it was a drama with Joaquin Phoenix. You know, it was like two girls and a guy. It was like two girls and a guy, but
that's probably the title.
No, that was the one with Robert Downey Jr. But she, there's a scene where he's looking out the window.
It was his last movie before the pretend
document. Before he went mad.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he's looking out the window and she's like across the courtyard, one floor up, and for no reason whatsoever, just pulls her boob out and shows it to him. That's when she became cooler for me. I was like, all right. Yay, I don't care if you can't act. You've got that.
I'm getting Contagion and Contraband mixed up.
We'll fix that.
Just like I get Cary Grant and Gary Cooper mixed up. I don't know why.
Wow.
Yeah.
One was gay.
Haha. No, that's
Call in readers. Which one? Was it Gary Cooper or Cary Grant?
Or it was Rock Hudson.
Well, we all know that.
Rock Hudson?
He died of his gayness.
Rock Hudson, but now you're throwing me for a loop.
This is part of my job.
Neither Gary Cooper nor Cary Grant were gay.
Right. Okay. You go to bed believing that, Steve. Hey, I have an interesting movie related.
They have very bright and ebullient smiles, so maybe, I don't know.
Ebullient.
Fluorescent, gleaming.
I have a movie-related thing to share with you.
Go for it.
So last night I went to the Institute of Contemporary Art to see the Gob Squad.
The Gob Squad?
Yes. It's a acting troupe from England, Germany mix. And what they did was they recreated Andy Warhol movies on stage. You know how you used to film movies with like people kissing or sleeping or doing mundane shit? Mm-hmm. So they recreated them using like a rear projection device. So they were behind the movie screen acting out, and the films were projected in front of us. And then they would talk, they broke the fourth wall and talked to us and told us what to do, and they weren't just strict reenactments of these Andy Warhol movies. It was one of the better nights of theater I've seen in a long time in this city. And I realized this morning, I like my artsy on the stage. I don't really like it in movies. I can sit there and watch the weirdest stuff live in the theater. But if it gets too weird, like I'm watching that fucking Godard movie, Socialisme. Whatever. Yeah. Did you see that?
Of course. We've talked about it a couple times.
Oh, I wouldn't wipe my butt with that movie. I hated that thing. Hated it.
But if they performed it live...
Yeah, I'd be there. I'd be all over it. I'd be like, wow, this is the most amazing live thing ever. But make me sit there and watch it on the screen? Ugh, I'm bored.
It sounds like you had a transcendent...
I just had fun. Yeah, I just had fun. And it was just wacky. Before the show, they let you walk through the backstage and meet the actors and see all the technical stuff that was going on. In fact, you had to. That was the only way you could get to your seat was by going backstage and seeing what everything was.
Is the stage over at the ICA the same stage that if it's like a giant curtain behind the screen and you can see the water?
There is a
like
theater
that?
There like that, and then there's a theater. This was in the digital projection theater or something. It was fun. It's only here this weekend, so by the time this post, it's too late.
So are you like into Andy Warhol now, or is that just a one?
No. I thought that was one of the things I wanted to talk about with the actors last night was they're trying to make a point that these movies changed or captured a moment that changed the world. And I'm like, yeah, it's still crappy movies. I don't want to watch.
Do you remember the titles?
Kitchen,
Tarzan,
Screen Test,
Jane?
and Sleep. Sleep was an 8-hour movie of someone sleeping.
Yeah.
And as they said last night, and they're like, well, this is when speed and cocaine first came around, so people didn't sleep anymore. They wanted to capture what it was like. I'm like, I don't think
So what is it? Just somebody sleeping on stage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, it's a film of someone's sleeping backstage, but they've got a camera on them, so we see the film of them sleeping.
Oh, okay.
And so there's a kitchen scene, and there's a camera there,
I
and
thought
we see
it was
the
like
film
a
of
shadow play.
No. There's an actual camera that's projecting. All that's on the stage in front of us is a big white screen, and there's 3 different movies going on, but they keep.
Well, it's interesting that
and
it changes one's perspective or your perspective because you know that it's live.
Yeah. It was, and then they would bring people from the audience, put headsets on them, and have them go and act out the scenes while the actors would tell them what to say through microphones in the back of the room. So people were acting as the actors who were portraying themselves in movies. It was convoluted, but very cool.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So how long is this happening?
It ends Sunday.
Man, they ought to do that down at the Coolidge.
It was wild. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, but it made me think that I really do like weirdness in theater, but not so much in movies. Not weirdness, but
John,
pretentious
what you need
artsy-fartsy
now
stuff.
is just for it to be naked.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I thought there would be nudity last night, but they stopped me.
Were you close to participating?
I wanted to so badly.
John, they're coming to get you again. This is one of the disadvantages of recording in the apartment is that anytime, like, an emergency vehicle or something comes down the street, there's no doubt this is being picked up. Thank you.
Oh, it's a fire truck. Yeah.
Town of Brookline.
Hey, they're stopping
Are they coming
in
to the front? Oh, it's some of the.
Moved on.
I was going to say, there's always some old person in the building that's like left the stove on, or
you do live in the apartments of the living dead. You know that. So we're going to talk about.
I don't know what to say to that.
There's nothing.
And I'm trying to deny it.
You can't.
You know.
I believe me. I've wanted these halls waiting for the elevator.
Seen the halls.
It's a shuffling madness.
It's weird. It's like sometimes it's like the people, they get to a point in their lives where they're like watching you. You know, they're like peeking around the corner, seeing who's this new guy.
Oh, I frighten older people because they just don't know what's coming next. And the thing is, I'm at that age now where I'm slowly becoming one of them.
Yeah,
I shuffle a little more.
Don't even say that.
Yeah,
that scares me, man.
It should.
It scares me to think that, like, when I'm, watching a movie from the 1960s and how different that is now.
Yeah.
Then compared to now, and I was born then, and I can slightly kind of remember it, and it's just, I don't, it doesn't equate to me.
No,
it's
that feeling you get when you're shopping in like the supermarket and you can hear Led Zeppelin as the background music. You're like, fuck,
yeah,
don't play Zeppelin.
No, it's not supermarket.
No.
Not supermarket.
So are we going to talk about Contraband?
Yes,
and then
Mark Wahlberg flick.
That's all you saw this week. It was a bad week for
man.
movies.
I saw Innkeepers.
That doesn't open until mid-February,
but it's already on demand, so go for it.
Oh, all
just do it.
Okay,
mid-February.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
I thought it
was a special event at the Brattle.
Yeah,
and
last night.
I think it doesn't work. It doesn't open until mid-February.
I got the invitation, and Liz never got back to me because I think I RSVP'd
minutes?
An hour and a half before the screening.
Publicists love
and
you.
It was completely unintentional. I did, I think it's not that in truth, I did not RSVP to the first invitation.
Right.
But I have sometimes trouble reading an entire email. My attention just goes boom to the next thing. And I've put myself in a pickle for not reading.
Yeah, I've seen those pickles when you
before.
showed up at Tree of Life.
Yeah.
With guest, even though if you read a little further, it said absolutely no guest.
Yeah, well, there was a larger story attached to that, but
it's true.
It's neither here nor there.
Do you know how we usually do movie news while we're thinking of events that are happening, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, do you have some movie news?
I do. Next Friday night, the 20th, at the Museum of Fine Arts, they're going to show a movie of Full Metal Alchemy.
Really?
The anime.
Huh.
It's a new movie. I guess it's a new movie. I don't know too much about it, but I saw it on their site, and I will be there because get the chance to see anime on the big screen is just awesome.
Well, they showed what was that one anime?
Summer Wars.
So they showed Summer Wars.
Yeah,
there.
that looked great. Yeah, that looked great on the big screen, and I'm sure Funimation will send us a copy of this movie when it's released. But just the chance, Full Metal Alchemy is one of my favorite anime series.
Really?
I think it's going to be cool. So,
man, we can get to this in another episode. But I've been watching some episodes of Sekiri. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Sekire. You liking it?
Yeah.
Don't they know how to draw boobs well?
It is boob art.
It's boobalicious.
Yeah.
That actually, they had posted some clips from that or episodes on YouTube and were taken off because of the. It's not graphic, but it's definitely
Funimation's official YouTube channel, and they were asked to remove.
No, they put them on.
Oh, because there is some
regular
there
YouTube.
Is some,
there's nudity, but it's cartoon nudity.
Yeah,
and it's you didn't see the first series,
no.
Did you?
No.
Are you able to catch up on the story? It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the guy he's kind of like a Jerry Lewis character from The Ladies' Man, where he's like the houseboy,
right?
To these
in charge of all these ladies
who are like super empowered chicks, and they've got there can be only one Highlander thing going on.
Yeah. Did you see Heaven's Lost Property?
Not all of it.
That's another boob movie.
I do very much like the
cartoon boobs.
Well, I like the cartoon boobs, but I like the story.
There's a story, people.
Pretty good,
Yeah, there's a plot and acting and everything else.
Man, we're getting way off of Contraband.
Well, I think we're trying to fill space. That's all we've got is Contraband because you didn't suffer through Joyful Noise. You didn't suffer through Iron Lady.
No, you suffered through Iron Lady.
Yeah, it's bad. It's the first time.
It's not about women's bodybuilding.
No, and it's not. There's that one there's an Asian movie about volleyball chicks called The Iron Ladies. It's not that either. Mm. It's Meryl Streep as Maggie Thatcher, and it sounds like such a good idea. Meryl Streep is Maggie Thatcher. It sounds good. Mm. And you know what? My biggest complaint is every second I was watching it, I was fully aware that it was Meryl Streep playing Maggie Thatcher. When I saw her play Julia Child, I forgot it. I believed it was Julia Child up there cooking.
Yeah.
When I saw her as Ethel Rosenberg in Angels in America, I believed Ethel Rosenberg was giving shit to
So you had
Al Pacino.
An immersion issue.
Yeah, and plus the movie's choppy. It's not edited well. It doesn't have a good storyline. She was the prime minister when huge events were taking place, and it's all history is just used as a back. What do you call it?
A wide brush.
Well, no, it's just the background for for her to stand and look like she's there. And a lot of times the cutting between actual footage and Meryl Streep doesn't work. It's just I think it's a badly.
They couldn't Forrest Gump her correctly.
No, they did not Gump her at all. So I was just disappointed by the whole thing.
And here at this point in its marketing campaign, and where I haven't even seen it. It's made out to be like it's this Oscar contender thing, like King's Speech.
It's a Weinstein Company release, so Hari and Bob are out there beating that dead horse. It's not going to happen. There's other performances out there that are much better.
Yeah, I'm not really looking forward to seeing it. I'll see it though. But,
I would. I'd wait for video.
Man, we still got to get to Contraband. Which to me, it's like a bridge movie to this week's screening of Haywire. Uh-huh. Haywire is the one that I'm looking forward to.
You didn't like Contraband? It was fun.
It was all right. It's sort of, easily forgettable, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
it was all right. It was kind of, the drama in the movie was like. Tie a woman to the railroad tracks kind of drama, where he's got to save his wife before she drowns in concrete or something like that. And it was really simple.
Oh yeah, yeah. But and I think this is a compliment. Mark Wahlberg does simple very well.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of complications to his character or to the story, but he carries it off. He can support a movie like this.
It's all
being
about
Mark
him.
Wahlberg.
You know, it's like The Shootist, except it's just a couple of years later.
Yeah,
You know,
it's like
the
most Mark
singular
Wahlberg movies.
thing, you know.
And that's fine with me. I like it that it's a known commodity, and he delivers a lot of. People were complaining before the movie that it's he's a one note actor, blah blah blah. I'd say most famous actors are pretty much one note. Their personalities.
His one note got him an Academy Award
yeah,
nomination.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong. If you can play that one note really well, play it, motherfucker, play it. The thing that I liked about this is all the window dressing they put around him. Shot in New Orleans, which looked cool. I love that city, so it looked cool to me.
Yeah. I'm not excited about this movie.
I can tell. I can tell. You've got a pillow out almost.
Yeah, I'm just kicking back here in my chair and pulling my hair out.
Yep. I thought Giovanni Ribisi, is that his name?
Yes.
He was one of the bad guys in this movie.
All accented and tattooed and
my
dirty
God.
looking.
The first time he opens his mouth, you have to laugh.
A weasel.
The accent is so syrupy, thick, and bad. But you know what? By the end, when he's threatening Mark Wahlberg's wife, the beautiful Kate Beckinsale,
yes. Who we're supposed to
the tension
believe
goes
is like
up.
This middle-class, kick-ass wife.
Yeah.
But you just can't get around being Kate Beckinsale, man.
I don't want her to.
They can dye her hair. They can dirty her up a little. She's still hot.
Yeah, she's married to Mark Wahlberg. She should be. Hotness doesn't matter in this. I mean, the few scenes, they don't give her much to do, but, be the worried mom and the...
She's just no plain Jane,
Yeah, it's
not...
I'm glad she got a paycheck for it, but they could have plugged anyone into that role.
Yeah, lady's got to work.
And what's his name? The other guy who was...
Ben Foster,
his
brother. He's really always good. I mean, I loved him in 3:10 to Yuma. Loved him in the small role that he had in 30 Days of Night as the
Remember
vampire.
him in The Messenger? Was it The Messenger?
Yeah,
with,
The Messenger. He's got a what I used to think was like, oh, he's a really deep actor. I don't know. His roles that he's taking are kind of
not so deep,
brooding.
Yeah.
He's rarely a happy-go-lucky guy. The only really different thing I'd seen him do is all the way back on Freaks and Geeks, he played a retarded kid in an episode.
You mean
or
mentally
two.
challenged?
Mentally challenged. Yeah. I was reprimanded for saying
the retard word.
The retard word the other day.
By who?
Stephen, who would you say that to?
Who reprimanded you?
Well, I wasn't really reprimanded in the sense that my girlfriend's mother corrected me in saying, because there's a couple of who live in the building,
right?
And one of them dropped one of their supermarket aprons out front, and it was just right on the side of the street. So I brought it into the building and gave it to the person at the desks, not knowing exactly whose it is, but I had said this is the retarded fellows. And she knew exactly what I was talking about. But when I retold the story, Sarah's mom was picking this up. When I retold the story there, she said, "You mean developmentally challenged?" Or I don't want to worry about what I'm going to say.
I think just
phrasing
phrasing
it, just like what it is. I mean, I'm probably wrong. Probably wrong.
No, it's like the midget and dwarf argument, whatever.
Yeah.
The fact that you didn't say this is the retard's apron, you said the retarded fellow.
Yes.
It's kind of like almost British. The retarded fellow. Pip, pip, cheerio. That one there.
Well, I just... How do you describe the person, as not...
I would just say I found this outside. Here comes another ride.
They're coming for you again. This is just... Beacon Street is...
hopping in. Yeah. All right, so the plot
Mark Wahlberg is
for Contraband. Mark Wahlberg is a reformed smuggler. He was the Houdini of smugglers, the best of the best, blah, blah, blah. But he gives it all up.
So says Giovanni Ribisi.
Right, he gives it all up.
He's so good, it's entertaining.
Right, he gives it all up to marry Kate Beckinsale and settle down and with 2 kids and run an alarm company.
Yeah,
but
that's not going to come into play.
But yeah, he's like Godfather 3. They pulled him back in because
happens with these. That's part of that's the thing.
His brother-in-law
one less
stays in the business, gets gets caught by the shore patrol, has to dump the load of drugs he was bringing in, and then the bad guys, Giovanni Ribisi, wants, the street value of the money back, or he's going to kill the kid. So Mark has to jump back in and do it, and smuggle again. But there's this great scene in there where he gets on board a ship, lies his way on board a ship to go smuggle counterfeit money from
They're
South
on their
America
way down to Panama.
Yeah, but the scene he's in that when he first gets in the room and he's got a couple million strapped around his belly, and the brother-in-law goes, "Don't tell me you don't like this." He goes, "No, I love it. Just don't tell your sister." It's kind of funny, that he actually loves what he's, but he admits it. It's not all gloom and doom that I have to do this because they're going to kill my family.
It's just such an average film.
It's the middle of January. Average. I'll take average. I sat through Joyful Noise, The Iron Lady, and Guard of Carnage. I saw 3 sub-average movies. God of Carnage. I saw 3 shitty movies, so I'll take average.
Okay.
Average is good now.
All right.
I have no problem with that.
I'm just reluctant to admit that it was entertaining. And when
why? You were happy when it ended.
It's all right. I thought there were a couple of good scenes that I really enjoyed. One of them being the scene where they, just to give a little background information on what they're actually doing when they get there. He's got an hour off the boat. Mm-hmm. How much time do you think he has? An hour, 2 hours, something like that? Yeah. And he realizes that he can't get all the way to this Hood's place outside Panama,
right?
Something like that, to pick up the cash. To make the run and get it back to the ship so they can, hide their stuff in one of the cargo, what do they call those things?
Container.
Cargo, yeah. So he has a couple of the guys who work on the ship in on the deal with him, mm-hmm. and they conspire to hold things up. And one of the guys who works in the engine room says that if you hold back on some of the oil, or if you mess with some of the oil pressure or something like that, it'll slow things down, plus there'll be repair time and whichever, so it'll give them, I don't know, maybe an hour or something like that.
Right.
When they're first bringing this giant cargo ship into dock, because there's this issue with the oil pressure or something going on in the engine room, the captain can't stop it.
Right.
And I used to work for Highline, which
really?
is
were you an entertainer on a cruise ship?
No. I was a crew member during college in the 80s. Now, Highline, for people who don't know, is a ferry that takes people from Hyannis to Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket between the islands, and they have some pretty big boats. And there was one time in particular, but it's happened a couple of times, where the real dangerous part about moving huge ships, mm-hmm. moving a big boat, isn't in it's dangerous in rough water, but navigating the channel and docking these ships is very dangerous, and it's very precise.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the captain earns his money.
Yeah,
and that's where the crew comes together to be on point with everyone. And in the movie, when J.T. Simmons, who plays the captain, or J.K. Simmons, who plays the captain, is putting down the orders to the engine room to slow up, and they got to dock this ship, and it's not docking. The thought of all this inertia that can't be stopped, that is eventually going to hit the dock, is a scary feeling. And I've been on a boat when we had temporarily lost control of it, and in our case, we're drifting away from the dock. Like with the bow coming in and the stern tipping, and when you have no control of the boat, even temporarily in the in the port, that is some scary shit.
Yeah.
And when I was watching this on screen, I guess I was having some post-traumatic stress flashback or something, watching the bow of that ship come toward the dock, and knowing that even though it's creeping slowly, it's the tonnage that's going to plow through. Wow, man, what a feeling! That scene in the movie really I was like, damn.
It works for a scene. It doesn't work for an entire movie like Speed 2.
Good point.
Yeah. But that was good. J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
He's always fun to watch.
He imbues his stuff, his acting with.
He's J. Jonah Jameson
with humor
on the deck.
It doesn't take much to look at him and
he's so gruff.
He's
What was
he's the gruff nice guy.
What was it? Was it in Juno? He was the parent.
Yes.
That was such a different, and so much fun to see him do something,
Yeah, but who wouldn't want to?
different.
Who wouldn't like to have a dad like J.K. Simmons?
I don't know.
No.
We can interview his children at some later date. So you wouldn't go back to see this? I don't think I would either. It is forgettable.
No, it just becomes a.
I watch it when it comes on DVD.
I think what it is it's entertaining in its way, like Ocean's 11 is entertaining in its way, that you want to figure out how you want to, know like how are they going to do this heist?
Yeah,
because it's a heist in a sense, where the team comes together, and there's just the movie is based on like just the law of improbabilities and these minuscule things that have to happen to come together in order to make this happen.
Yeah.
It's like insane, and I'm never really down with like when people are trying to hide in a warehouse, and someone's butt disappears behind a box right before the other person walks into the scene, and you just
like
think
butt
you're
has
like,
eyes.
how could that flashlight possibly fucking miss them? You know what I mean? It's it's that crazy tight. It's the implausibilities that are entertaining, I suppose.
And then they keep adding, they keep adding like, okay, he's got an hour to go get the counterfeit money, and then he shows up and the counterfeit money isn't the counterfeit money he wanted. So then he has to go to another guy to get the counterfeit money.
And then he's got to deal
someone
with the
steals
new
the money
crazy
and he
guy.
can't get
All the things that don't happen.
Suddenly he's taking part in an armed robbery to get the counterfeit money.
Right, because
to
Diego
get back to
Luna,
the boat,
man, with the fucking machine guns and his crew that want to rob a fucking armored truck that has a painting in it.
These bad guys are so stupid. They don't wear masks. They just put duct tape on their faces.
And all I could think of was like, holy shit,
guys?
That's going to hurt when you take it off.
Yeah.
They really duct tape the hell out of their faces.
It's so stupid.
And John, when they're hiding by the police and they remove the duct tape and their face would just be beat red. They're like, no, it wasn't me.
Yeah. I don't know what duct tape is. I don't know. Yeah, it was.
Man.
I think I unplugged in this movie a lot sooner than you did.
I was sitting next to Ty Burr. He's for those who don't know, he's a film critic for the Boston Globe, and we had a texter sitting in front of us. And for maybe a good 10 minutes, Ty and I are like, the movie's 3/4 of the way over. What are we going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to say something? I'm going to say something. He's like, Steve, the guy's checking his Facebook page. He's checking his Facebook page. It was just so fucking irritating. And I got to, there gets to be a point in the movie where, like, if you make it to do about some fucker texting in front of you, it's just going to be like an issue. But if it's early on, you got to say something about it. But, oh, man. Contraband was that type of movie where people could show up and text and talk. It drew that kind of audience. So.
Yeah, that audience shows up everywhere except for Godard movies.
Except at Harvard.
Yeah.
Well, you got to be pretty quiet at the Brattle.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have aware attendees or people who work there that walk through the crowd and keep an eye on things.
And they have the thing on the screen that says, please, don't text or turn your cell phones off. It ought to say, like, please don't text.
You don't want me
or we will.
You don't want me to bring
whip your fucking cell phone across the theater, smash it against the wall.
You don't want me to bring up people eating at the theater, do you?
Was that just as bad? Oh, I had a bad experience yesterday. Holy shit. Sarah and I went to Symphony yesterday.
Yeah.
And so we saw a little Beethoven, and there was an old lady on. And there was an old lady sitting next to me sucking on a Jolly Rancher. And you're thinking, oh my God, you're supposed to be silent. This is like, watching
Symphony
some
Hall,
beautiful thing at Symphony Hall, and there's a 80-year-old woman next to me going, fucking hell. But thankfully, that only lasted for like 15 minutes.
Right.
And then she wasn't there for the second half.
Then there was a choking sound because you hit her on the back and she swallowed a Jolly Rancher. But that only lasted for like a minute.
Did you have an eating story at
Well, there was a guy
who
ate next to me at Contraband.
Yeah.
It was you.
Oh,
duh.
Thanks, John.
How quickly we forget that.
Right. Well, for a couple of minutes at the beginning of the movie, I had to have a sandwich because the story goes back even further. If anybody knows geography here in Boston, John and I made the mistake of showing up at Boston Common for the screening. And we were there at like 20 of 7, something like that. for Contraband. Go inside, find out that Contraband is screening at Fenway at 7 o'clock. So, like, what are we going to do? What do we do? We get into a cab, and we actually get to Fenway with, like, minutes to spare.
Right.
But I had just bought a sandwich down the street.
I know.
I thought I arrived at the theater with enough time to eat the thing before the movie started. Then we got to get into a cab and race across town where I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, this cabbie's, I know how to get there. This guy's screwing us over. I wasn't happy with the cab ride. So we get out with minutes to spare, find a seat and I'm like, I got to eat my sandwich.
I'm just saying, you want to cut some other people some slack.
Yeah.
When it happens.
Yeah.
But there was
if I'm a hypocrite about it, I'm a hypocrite only for I'm very apologetic, and that is a rarity.
Okay. Just saying.
I did plan it out, man. I was intending to eat that thing before the whole...
I'm sure that lady felt the same about her Jolly
started.
Rancher. There was an article in the paper the other day that a man, that for the first time in their history, a cell phone went off at the New York Philharmonic.
New York Philharmonic?
Yeah, and loud enough to interrupt the show.
Oh, fucking hell.
Yeah.
Those fuckers.
So in New York, they just put him down.
Man, well, at the Boston Symphony, they had projected onto the wall.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, on both sides of the stage.
Shut the fuck up.
Turn all the electronic devices off.
I would love it. They should be ruder there.
Yeah, man, Symphony is great, man. I gotta tell
it was
you,
like
it's hypnotic. Hypnotic. I love
projected
it.
on the side. Please turn all cell phones and pager off. And lady, swallow that fucking candy.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
Steve typing in
well,
messages.
You're
for the
sitting
side.
there. The place it's like you're listening to this beautiful music, and it's like you can hear a pin drop. And there's
Or an old lady chew a
120
candy.
something people on stage. It's beautiful, and then all of a sudden, you hear.
Oh well.
It was probably a Halls.
I went to see God of Carnage, the play, the other night, and I was talking to my friend Nick, who writes for Metro, and I go, "How'd you like the show?" He goes, "There was a guy behind me burping in my ear through the whole thing. This old man was behind him. He was just like throughout the 90-minute show."
Man, I don't want to harp on this, but I feel like if I were prepared with the right thing to say, I could always get somebody to stop texting and talking.
Could you not do that? I try that approach.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to save that quote. I'm going to save that
Can we not
and try
do
to
that?
use it.
Can we
Get on to the Innkeepers.
Do we have anything else we want to talk about for this program? Or
Well, yeah, the Innkeepers, Ty West.
Oh,
How could you forget about that?
I thought we were going to save it till it opened.
No.
All right.
It's on demand right now. People can just go to.
We're not
Comcast,
on-demand reviewers.
whichever,
Okay. Whatever.
It's better to talk about it now because, if we do it weeks from now,
when it opens,
forget about it.
Okay.
We talk about it a month and a half later, and we're like, I'm going to try and say something really insightful about this. What was that movie?
Okay.
But here we just saw it.
All right.
The Innkeepers.
All right.
From the director of House of the Devil.
Which was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Both movies were.
Something about, Ty West's approach to movies that...
It's old school.
It's intrinsically likable.
He doesn't... It's the kind of horror I like because while there may be an occasional gory scene, it's not all about splatter and gore and trying to gross out the audience. The tension is what counts in these movies.
There's got to be a better way to describe slow burn, but...
Slow burn works.
Shit, that's the word everybody's using. Slow, it's what it is, It was House of the Devil. I don't recall the other stuff he's done. This is his 7th film.
Really?
Something like that, yeah.
Huh. It's good. You give the plot. Since
I think it takes place in Vermont, and it's on the weekend of the last, it's the last couple days where this hotel is in operation. So the two people that work there, I guess, are kind of like paranormal
geeks,
not aficionados, but they have a minor interest in it, and they seem to think that the hotel is haunted. Let me pull up.
And they're like mini Ghostbusters. They have their
Mini
recording
Ghostbusters.
equipment, and they're always they hear a noise and they grab the equipment to go out and tape it to see ooh, was that just a can falling off the shelf, or did a ghost push it off the shelf?
Well, House of the Devil, the film stars, God, I forget who stars in House of the Devil, but she was just lovely. Well, the lovely in this film is Sarah Paxton. She's like this, God, how would I describe it? Hipster girl. You're looking at me like, Steve.
I'm trying not to have any emotion on my face as you call her a hipster girl.
Yeah, she is. She's a cool young 20-something chick who's into the paranormal thing, and she's an assistant manager at the hotel. And they decide that, like, for this last night, they're going to do some recordings. And the guy like the manager of the place, played by Pat Healy, he's got this weird, like, title mini wave haircut.
It's kind of hipster look.
Yeah, something like that.
That.
In a way, he looks like some real life version of
They both look
the
like
guy from Tintin.
They both look like they work in Newbury Comics.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So they're kind of into the paranormal thing, and they've got some recordings that they think have some stuff,
Well, he's got a website based on the haunting of this inn, where a lady was supposedly murdered on her honeymoon, or
she killed herself.
She was there on
60 years ago.
She was there on her wedding night, and her husband never showed up, so she killed herself.
No, it must have been in the 30s. I don't know. It was old enough to look oldie.
Okay,
frightening in the photos. So on this last night or last couple of nights, they're going to do some recordings, and they only have one guest. Kelly McGillis checks in.
Yeah.
Right? Turns out she's not just like Kelly McGillis. Her character's like this semi-famous actress from an 80s TV show or something like that. And I guess she's there under the idea that she's going to be giving a talk at a convention or something like that. But really, she's a medium.
Mm-hmm.
And she communicates with those on the other side. And I don't know, man. Kelly McGillis is she's freaky looking these days. Not like so odd looking that you can't look at her, but she's just so different. It's so different from like Top Gun and Witness and
duh. When
25 years on?
Yeah, 30, right? Top Gun was just 25th anniversary, right? And she was probably 20 something in Top Gun, so she's 50 maybe. She's younger than me.
Is Kelly McGillis younger than you?
Probably, yeah.
No, I would have to say she's mid 50s.
I'm 52.
No,
you get the computer there. Let's solve this mystery for our readers.
You mean I got to lean over and type this?
It's hell. But this people now are listening to this going, God, can John really be older than Kelly McGillis? Isn't it time he died?
All right.
Because I remember when I of course we all remember her from Witness, taking a sponge bath. Yeah.
July 9th, 1957.
So.
She's a year older.
No, I was born in 59.
So she's 2 years older.
Yeah. So, she's my peer.
She looks 60.
Thanks, Steve.
Kelly McGee. But
it's fun to see
she's a
her
sport
work.
For being in two good movies.
Stakeland?
Yes. That film. She was. That film has it made Peg Alloy's top 10 list. Peg is a film critic who's a guest on the show, on the podcast, and she writes for the Boston Phoenix paper in Albany. I forget the name of it.
I don't know.
It's on her top 10 list.
Stakeland was fun.
Yeah.
So anyway, then the whole point of this movie is that the things they think are happening are really happening. There is a ghost. Creepy stuff has to happen, and it escalates slowly but steadily into real creep. I give the director credit for taking the time to establish a creepy atmosphere.
A creep me out.
Yeah, and it's both creepy, but he also, and this is something I've always talked about with horror. He has a good sense of humor. There's a lot of humor in this movie,
right? But not so much. But not humor in the sense that they do something like really grotesque that makes you laugh.
Right.
There's a couple of jump scares that are done for the fun of it, and the characters are quirky enough to just be entertaining throughout the whole film.
Right.
And it's
even the jump scares, the startle moments, work better here because of those characters. Like when he sneaks up behind her and he's walking towards her, going, "I'm coming behind you, I'm coming behind you," and he still scares the shit out of her. Yeah. It's a startle moment where in less talented hands of a director, we would just have the quick boom.
His camera placement and movement and tracking speed and all that kind of stuff is very important in creating the atmosphere for a movie like this. Because with this type of movie, in the sense that, like, you know, as with like the paranormal, for example, the Paranormal Activity movies, we're expecting something. We're studying every little thing. Like, did the rocking chair move?
Right.
Did the bell on the table move? You know, we're just like searching for something different in the frame. And I think, you know, Ty West just is very aware of everything that's in the frame, and he plays it to the hilt.
Right.
You know, he builds the moments, and it works.
Well,
it works. I feel a little cheated though. By the end,
yeah, so do I.
But I don't want to spoil anything. Like, it's really a personal opinion. I think that people will probably really dig the ending, but it plays on our knowledge of ghost movies, you know, horror films. So it, in a sense, in that way, it's pleasing.
Well, I did a phone interview with Sarah Paxton, and she said that Ty was a great director because he had his shit together. He knew exactly what he wanted. She goes, so I didn't have to do 100 takes. He knew exactly what he wanted from every shot. She
looked like a real sport for this movie. You could tell it looked like she was having fun while they were making it. And we say that all the time about movies.
The cast and crew lived in that hotel. You can go to that hotel now. They didn't change anything.
What was it called again?
You can go to wherever it is and stay there. They didn't change anything, but the cast and crew stay there. So she said, I woke up in the morning, put on a pair of jeans, a little hair and makeup, and they were ready to shoot. And I think that's...
The Yankee Peddler.
It's clear that Ty knew exactly what he wanted. And I think that's the exact ending he wanted for this film. Whether it keeps us guessing or makes us pissed off or makes us satisfied as a film viewer, that's up to us. I think he put exactly what he wanted there.
I think I was expecting like some chintzy moments, for lack of a better way to describe it. And I think I was pleased by the fact that the movie didn't sell out by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there weren't like it has a couple of cheap scares, but those are setups. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't do anything cheap. It did, like I feel like the director knew that he had you when the camera's creeping towards the door, and there is a lot of that. There's a few things, you know, where the camera's kind of like creeping into the door and around there, and you feel like there's going to be a reveal when the camera pans and something like that.
Right.
And he didn't. It wasn't cheap, you know.
No.
He didn't, you know, take the low road.
And that's
and like oh God, look, the rocking chair is rocking or something. You know, it was.
And he never resorted, or I think there was maybe one moment, but he never resorts to found footage kind of stuff. This is all a movie. So it's not like Paranormal Activity, like, ooh, here's the teddy bear cam, and here's the monitors, and that crappy video look.
Yeah. Well, I think it's something to be said for the fact that we know the whole haunted house thing, the whole haunted hotel thing.
Right.
And it's just playing on the fact that, you know, there's certain places you don't go, like...
the
into the basement,
yeah.
or into the third floor that's been closed down for a little while. You know?
You don't let the really creepy old man who shows up out of the blue and pays in cash stay in the abandoned room because that's the room he wants to stay in. You just know something bad's going to happen. Or just the simple
fact that, like, if there's only two people working at the hotel and there's one guest upstairs or something like that, it's probably best that those two people working together stay together.
Right.
You know? And the moment when they're apart, even if it's for a minute, that's when things are going to get fucked up.
Right.
And just the groan that goes through the audience when one of the other characters leaves the other person alone, even for a minute, you know.
But I think Ty, the director Ty, is very much aware of that and plays us like a fiddle.
Yeah, I would see this again. I feel like there's some stuff I missed.
I want to see it again because as a fan of this kind of movie, or just horror in general, I think my mind races too fast looking for the next scare, the next big thing. I just want to relax and let this movie happen.
You know, and John, and I wouldn't have said this. It's like, I'm sometimes fine with watching screeners. And I know you saw this on the TV. He films this, you know, on film.
Right.
35. It has a texture to it.
Right.
It has a large screen presence to it that is very effective. And I think there's a lot of stuff that you just, obviously one misses.
Right. And I think also
if you're watching this on TV,
even on video, I was aware that,
and this is available on demand.
Right. I would wait.
I'm not assuming that everybody has a shitty ass TV. You've probably got some high def shit going on.
But even that way, you know, the sound design in this movie, what he does with sound is pretty cool. And just the fact that I'm watching it with headphones on.
Her inhaler.
Yeah, and just music's done well.
Right.
And
Sarah Paxton's character, when she gets scared or a little uptight, you know, she
has to pump the inhaler.
Resort to the inhaler, you know, to get things back to normal. It's an identity prop.
And I give Sarah Paxton a lot of credit because she played, you know, she was in Last House on the Left. Yeah. She's been in a couple of horror movies now. Where
Is that the Wes Craven flick?
Yeah. No, not the original, the remake. She was in the remake.
Yeah. Produced by Wes Craven.
I think it's one of those executive producers. We're gonna take your idea and shit all over it. Here's some money. Because I really didn't like the sequel. And one of the reasons I didn't like it was there was an extended brutal rape scene of, you know, Sarah Paxton being raped by the bad guys that just went on and on and on. Huh. And
she's paid her dues.
She has. But a lot of her movies have always been she's an attractive woman, so they put her in a lot of hair and makeup and put her in a dangerous situation. Here she was kind of like the normal chick.
Yeah, and she has a sense of humor about herself.
Right.
And
this movie
her
lets her be
place
herself.
in the world and her job, and you know, it's fun.
Right.
It's fun. This is if you go see it at the theater, it's a good movie, it's a good time.
Well, you know, there's a scene where she's recording sounds in the laundry room, and she's just sitting there on the floor, and she's got this microphone, and there's this atmosphere of tension, waiting to see what she's going to find out, and it's just all you're doing really is watching this girl listen to sounds. Yeah. But it's done so well, and
the movie's like attuned. You're attentive to everything. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I was just saying, I said, you know, it can't be easy to look that intent and so believable listening to stuff. She goes, that was the first shot we did, and I was really hungover from the night before because I had celebrated my 22nd birthday, so I'm just really sitting there. And I was like, oh, because it looks really good. She goes, well, thank you, but I was just kind of sitting there.
You know, the guy Pat Healy is a kick too.
Yeah,
because he's like this. He's a hipster, and he's really, you know, obviously dismissive and like he knows his shit, and he shouldn't be working at this place, and you know,
right,
just sort of has this arrogance about him.
But you also kind of know he's full of shit, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it gets a little scary that way because we trust him.
Right. She trusts him.
She trusts him. We don't know if he's a part of what's going on or what, you know. And some things are revealed that are sort of like, oh, Jesus, man. I was so gullible.
They're revealed right at the right moment when you need him. And you're like, oh, really? Yeah. So very well done. Very well made. You know, fun movie.
Ty West has got another film called VHS that's, I think, premiering next week at Sundance.
Is it about the tape?
I don't know. It's a multiple director thing, but I just started reading a few things about it. VHS. So he's already got his next movie.
Boy's got a future.
I think it's a collection of short films, and he's one of the directors. One of four. Anyway.
Those usually don't work.
But they have a heritage.
They have a heritage, but they usually don't work. I can't think of one.
Did you see Chillerama yet?
No, I didn't see Chillerama. But I'm thinking of like
Twilight Zone the movie.
Twilight Zone the movie, Aria, which was a bunch of directors filming scenes set to opera music. There was one that was Quentin Tarantino,
the Woody Allen, Martin Scorsese,
New York
Francis
Stories.
Coppola, yeah, but in the horror genre, you know, obviously the Twilight Zone.
Yeah,
and then well, you know what they did with Amazing Stories, but that was brought to TV. So
right, yeah, it's never a good idea.
Kentucky
I don't
Fried
think.
Movie.
Well, was that multiple directors?
Short films.
Well, yeah, but I have no problem with like episodic comedies, but when you've got, you know, usually one director, but if you've got 3 or 4 directors doing different, because they're different styles.
I kind of get where you're going, and is it like when you have one of these movies, it's like there's one short film that fucking blows the others away,
right?
And the others are kind of like lame. So like when I think about like Twilight Zone the movie. George Miller's Nightmare at 30,000 Feet, you know, that with John Lithgow. Insane.
Right.
Loved it. You know, but I also digged, I think, what's it called? It's a Good Life, the Joe Dante one. There's always like that one short film out of the collection that's like tops.
Remember, I've got something to tell you on DVD stuff. You just made me think of it. Anyway. Well, it's a Joe Dante related thing.
Go for it.
No, they'll have to tune into the next episode of DVD releases.
Yeah.
Make them.
Do that.
Make the audience work for this shit.
What? This is pure entertainment, John.
There's nothing pure about it. You know
From our mouths, tickling people's ears for free.
I'm tickling your ears. We're done here.
Yeah. Man, The Innkeepers is good.
Yep.
Do see it. Hey, and if you get the chance, check us out on iTunes. And if you subscribe, that would be awesome. If you leave a review, that would be awesome. We'd appreciate it.
Let's not forget the cash donations.
Yeah,
Those are always
I don't know
appreciated.
if that's ever going to happen.
Be the first. Be the first to give us money. Make it $1.
I almost feel like having it there is like, I don't know. I mean, it's there, but...
Should we make a direct appeal? Barrett, give us $1. Give us a Canadian dollar.
Does PayPal accept Canadian? I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
And we're we're online. All of our episodes are online at post-movie.net, and we're on Facebook. If you like us on Facebook, we periodically update.
We
on
period
Facebook.
erotically. What is that?
On Facebook.
If you send us $1, we will period erotically. Wow. Okay, Steve, that's a new one. That's a complete. I've never heard that one before.
Period erotically updating on Facebook, and if you feel so inspired as to send us an email, and if you want to talk about any of the movies that we've discussed, we'd be happy to hear from you. Send us an email. We're at contact@post-movie.net. John, are you yawning?
No.
What the fuck was that?
Maybe it was. I was period. I was having my erotic period.
Oh God!
It made me yawn.
I'm gonna have to get some napkins for the chair there.
Wow. I think that's a sign-off point right there.
Until next week, I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
So long, everyone.
Wow. Yes, we do. We need a napkin.